This idea should have come to me so much sooner. For the past year and a half, I've been collecting data on how companies grow from 0 to 50K in annual revenue. With that data and my own experiences of leading entrepreneurship programs at Yale the last 5 years, this idea of hosting a day-long retreat should have been way more obvious to me. But it wasn't. Last month, I hosted the first ever quarter revenue retreat where 12 founders who are trying to grow to 250K showed up to work with others on their businesses for an entire day. We worked on their pitches because if no one understands what you do, nothing else matters. We then worked through a new revenue framework I built based on the data I have, and then had them create experiments in a pretty unique way. This entire event was an experiment to see what's helpful for founders in a one-day event. And based on the feedback I'll show you at the end, I think I hit the mark. Let me walk you through it all. Getting your one-liner pitch right is the most important thing for your new business. Literally nothing else matters if your one-liner pitch stinks. You can't market, you can't sell, and you shouldn't even think about developing your product or service until your one-liner is great. And even then, you need to be constantly testing it because your business is going to evolve, and so is your customer. And yes, you don't need to evolve your pitch to include AI. I said what I said. Because the reality is the most successful founders aren't pitching AI in their one-liners. They're just simple enough that you and others are able to explain what your business does in one sentence. It's critical for selling and for referrals. So at the quarter revenue retreat, we spent the first 2 hours just refining their pitches. Some founders threw out the pitch they originally came in with and others just tweaked on the edges. And either way, they developed a dozen different versions and got real honest feedback on them from another founder they had never met before. And as I said at the retreat, we'd rather get it wrong at the retreat than 3 months from now and in front of a potential customer. I had run this session before at Yale, and this session just continues to surprise me with how valuable it is. Not only did I get to see founders work together to really refine their pitches, but I got to see founders not feel like they're building alone, the light bulb moments of why didn't I think of that version earlier, and maybe most importantly, watch confidence rise as founders pitch their businesses. If we had stopped there for the day, I think it would have been a successful day by that alone, but we weren't done. Once we had the pitches in a good spot, we transitioned to my new framework, the ABCs of revenue, a framework for how to grow from 0 to 250K in annual revenue. Not a single pathway, not an overly simplified linear process to revenue, just a framework that shows the numerous pathways you can take to grow from 0 to 250K in annual revenue and beyond. Felt like this new framework was needed because last year I developed the 10 ways to grow a business, but I didn't get granular enough, and it didn't feel clear enough how someone actually grew to 250K in annual revenue. So I spent April focused on building this new framework based on the data I've collected through the interviews to show on one page how businesses grow from 0 to 250K in annual revenue. And here's what it turned into. Top half is awareness avenues, and those are how do people learn about who you are and what you do. That middle part is what I'm calling bridge builders, and that is how do you develop trust with people who already know of you. And the last part is the closing centers. So those are how do you make a sale with those that already have trust in you. And for the last 2 years, I had thought I could simplify revenue building linearly in a funnel format. And in a way, I still have that with the ABCs of revenue, but the reality is that growing revenue from 0 to 250K isn't a straightforward linear process. It's really a portfolio of strategies within a linear process. So within this new framework, I showed founders others who have grown to 250K and then highlighted what they did all on this framework. That way you can see what strategies they use to grow at a very quick glance. Because it's one thing to see a LinkedIn post or a blog post of how someone did something. It's another to see the big picture in a simplified way. I was the most nervous about this new framework, but I saw the head nods and took a deep breath right after that. I knew it had worked right then and there. Founders at the retreat then started to circle and highlight what they were currently doing and then mapped out what they needed to focus on to grow to 250K. Within 2 hours, they had a high-level roadmap to 250K for their own business, along with feedback from other founders trying to do the exact same goal. But even with this high-level roadmap, it's not a guarantee to 250K. And that's where experiments within the framework are super important. Growing a business isn't just throwing things at the wall or posting randomly on social media. Growth is intentional testing. And based on the ABCs of revenue, the founders then developed experiments to test for the next 90 days in, wait for it, someone else's business. Everyone traded their company to someone who would then spend an hour designing experiments for that other founder to go run. The reality is that when it comes to the granular parts of your business, it's actually a lot easier to look at someone else's business and then give them what they need rather than your own. Everyone designed tactical, measurable, and time-bound experiments and then chatted through those with another founder. Because business growth isn't an art, it's a science. If you're thinking to yourself, that's a lot for one day. You're right. Yet here we were with 12 founders having a refined pitch, a mapped out high level plan to $250K in annual revenue, and tactical experiments for them to run in the next 90 days. And based on the feedback I received, the day was worth it. I heard things like it helped me focus on the important things, the experiments were the best part, and I love how practical today was. It wasn't just listening to someone lecture or a group of people talking about their own experiences with growing. It was practical, it was data-driven, it was community-based. So based on the feedback and others messaging me, when's the next one? We need to do another one. If you're a founder looking to grow to $250K in annual revenue and are feeling a little stuck or overwhelmed or just want to meet others trying to do the same, come join the next quarter revenue retreat. This June will be in a virtual format so that anyone, anywhere can join. Not just those in Michigan. It'll be a shorter time frame because all day on Zoom is exhausting, but it'll be all the same content and format. If you want to learn more about the quarter revenue retreat and sign up for the next one, check out the link in the description below.